Well, Iran has summoned Ukraine's diplomatic chief of mission after an attack on one of its commercial vessels in the Caspian Sea. Tehran says one sailor was killed and another injured in the Ukrainian attack. Iran is accusing Kyiv of trying to expand a war beyond its borders. But Ukraine says it was targeting Russian vessels carrying Iran-linked military cargo. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy also says Russia is assisting Iran in its military campaign in the Middle East.
Since the beginning of July, we have observed Russia conducting intensive satellite surveillance of the Gulf states and the U.S. military facilities located there. These satellite images are subsequently passed on to Iran. At the same time, there is a clear correlation between Russia's satellite imagery and Iranian strikes, both before attacks to support their planning and after attacks to assess the damage inflicted.
So in a statement, the Iranian Foreign Ministry said the Ukrainian regime's attack on the Iranian commercial vessel in the Caspian Sea, which was explicitly acknowledged by the head of that regime, is a sign of the continuation of the Ukrainian regime's irrational and hostile approach toward the Islamic Republic of Iran. All right, Al Jazeera's Tauhid Asadi joins me live from Tehran. So Tauhid, are the Iranians concerned here that Ukrainian strikes might become a bit more common, or do they see this as kind of a one-off isolated incident?
Well, indeed, this is just for the first time that we have been witnessing such an incident, but there is no small spot of hesitation, at least from the strongest messages of condemnation that we see from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that there is such a concern about potentiality for repetition of such sort of attacks. We've got the Ministry of Foreign Affairs first announcing that they have summoned top Ukrainian diplomat, and they have condemned that attack as quote-unquote what they have called a violation of United Nations Charter. Also, we know that in another statement coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they said that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had phone conversation with the EU foreign policy chief in that regard, and there he has called for the international community as well as the UN Security Council to respond to that attack, to condemn it. And of course, another separate statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not only just condemning it, but also warning about a sort of hostile approach that the Ukrainians are taking pertaining to Iran. All in all, we know that it is critically important, contextually speaking, for Iran, as it is dealing with a naval blockade by the Americans by itself, putting a lot of pressure on the maritime trade of the country.
So Tauhid, help us understand here. President Zelenskyy is saying that the Russians are helping the Iranians in this war, and I wonder what Tehran has said about that claim.
Well, the official rhetoric that we hear from Tehran, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in particular, is that there is no Iranian involvement in Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and that is something that we witnessed when it comes to the recent statement regarding this attack, and also other statements, specifically from the beginning of the conflict. Iranians are putting emphasis that they are not interested in involvement in this conflict. Also, from time to time, they also expressed readiness for mediation to resolve this conflict. And this is the gist of the matter, echoed in the statement that we saw from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
All right, Al Jazeera's Tauhid Asadi joining us live from Tehran. Tauhid, thank you. The U.S. military says its forces boarded a tanker in the Arabian